Hello. Hello and welcome to this press conference today. I'll first speak in English and after that briefly in Hindi. हिंदी में भी थोड़ा संक्षिप्त में बाद में हम ब्रीफ करेंगे पत्रकारों को। सबसे पहली बात तो ये है कि ये साइक्लोन निसर्गा वो लैंड कर गई है महाराष्ट्र के रायगढ़ ज़िले में, रायगढ़ पे, और इसके चलते हुए बहुत भारी नुकसान होने की अनुमान है। अगले 5 घंटे तक इस तूफ़ान का जो खतरा है वो रहेगा पूरे महाराष्ट्र पे। जिस तरीके से ये हवाएं चलेगी उससे निर्भर होगा कितनी बड़ी नुकसान होगी। सो वी express our solidarity with all those people who are battling this cyclone that has now hit the coast of Maharashtra, and we hope that the authorities, both the central and the state, will do the needful, and the central government would help the state government in meeting the situation. Our Politburo meeting was held yesterday for the first time since the national lockdown in conditions which are different from what we are normally used to. So we had to use digital technologies, and we could successfully conduct our first meeting through these technologies. And on the basis of the discussions, a report was presented, and on the basis of the discussions on that report, certain decisions were taken, which I'll briefly enumerate before you. First of all, the Politburo hailed the people and the Lieutenant Government of Kerala for the exemplary manner in which they combated the COVID pandemic. Having flattened the curve of rising infections, they are now bracing themselves to combat the second wave as people are returning from abroad and from different parts of India back into Kerala. And this is a challenge that the entire state and the people of Kerala are all geared up to meet. But unfortunately, the whole world has lauded the Kerala model. But unfortunately, the government of India refuses to learn anything from it. In complete contrast, during the national lockdown, PM Modi and his government did nothing in order to augment our capacities to fight this pandemic, which was required to be done during the lockdown period, which is increasing our hospital space, equipping our health workers with protection, and conducting testing, identifying, isolating, quarantining, and that is the manner in which the spread of this virus could have been contained. Unfortunately, this was not done. Neither was any relief provided to the people, and even now it's not provided to the people who were victims of this abrupt unilateral lockdown without giving any time to anybody to prepare. And what we are seeing today is this agonizing reality of crores of people, millions of migrant workers with their families, women and children, walking for nearly 2 months, exhaustion, hunger, dying due to accidents. This is a human tragedy of an unprecedented proportion. This could have been avoided. Even if it was imposed, relief could have been provided, but nothing of that is happening. Just imagine the situation. When the lockdown began on 24th of March, we had in India at that point of time 10 deaths and 564 positive cases. We have today 207,615 positive cases with 5,815 dead. And these figures are rising by the day in the highest proportion. But instead of meeting these challenges, what we find is that this Modi government is pursuing an agenda that is being directed by the RSS and this BJP government of deepening, sharpening communal polarization, of picking up, arresting, isolating and targeting the minority communities, and picking up all expression of dissent, arresting them under draconian laws like the Sedition Act, like the UAPA, like the NSA, And this agenda is being pursued along with the implementation of its neoliberal economic reforms. This financial package that they have announced, this so-called 2 lakh crore rupees of worth of package, that package is nothing but a repackaging of what was announced earlier, with the extra expenditures being mere 1% of our GDP. That is the actual financial stimulus, just 1% of our GDP, completely inadequate. But in the process, all the reforms of privatization of all public utilities, national assets, of our public sector undertakings, of allowing foreign capital to come into every area of our economy, and including defense production and space travel, atomic energy, and in the process along with that is the effort to annul or abolish all labor laws, that is the hard-won rights of the working people. This will not be allowed. This Modi government must understand and realize that the people of this country are not going to allow this. Now again, 2 days ago, they made 2 more announcements, very grandiose, saying that our peasantry is being supported by an increase in the minimum support price for agricultural products by 50%. But actual figures, if you look at it, the increase is so measly that for paddy, it is around 2% from what was the MSP last year. This 2% is a fifth of the inflationary costs that have gone up during the course of this year. That means our annadatas, our kisans are going to be further indebted, and distress suicides amongst them are likely to rise, and Modi government will be singularly responsible for this. Then they've announced another loan packages for the MSMEs, for small scale industries. But the earlier announcements that they've made included a 5.2 lakh crores of rupees of extra loans at the cheapest possible rates since 2010. And out of these, there were no takers. Nobody borrowed. Why? Because if you borrow and produce, what you produce has to be sold. People don't have money to buy. And that is the basic problem. Instead of addressing the issue of demand, domestic demand, and increasing purchasing power in the hands of the people, the Modi government is making more and more capital available at cheaper rates. But this capital availability will not revive the economy unless people have the capacity to buy. And it is this capacity that this government has been shattering completely, and it has virtually collapsed, as is clear from our GDP figures that have come out for the pre-COVID year, which is the biggest fall during the last 11 years. And this national lockdown and its consequences are ensuring that this fall in our economy, virtual recession in our economy, will continue to deepen. At this time, what is required is that the adequate finances to combat the pandemic. The states, they are in the forefront. Instead of financing the states to combat this pandemic and provide relief to the people, the Modi government is even not giving them their dues, legitimate dues, of financial transfers that had to be done as GST compensation rates. The Prime Minister is collecting in a private trust named after him some thousands and thousands of crores, at times through coercion, compulsion. But where is this money going? Nobody knows. There's no transparency, no accountability, no auditing. Transfer these monies to the states so that people can be provided relief and the pandemic can be combated effectively. No, but that is not being done. So this attack on the states and this centralization of authority that is taking place today is actually destroying a basic feature of our constitution, that is federalism. A unitary state is being created by Modi that will facilitate the destruction of the secular democratic Republic of India and the transition towards the RSS political project of a theocratic, rapidly intolerant fascistic project that is there. In order to facilitate that, the centralization is happening. Now this is something which is of serious concern for all of us who are born, at least from my generation onwards, who are born in independent India, that whether this India will remain or not. Likewise, during the pandemic, many experiences have come to the fore. Public health is in a dismal state. Universal health care is virtually non-existent in large parts of our country. At least now, spend 3% of our GDP on public health and universal health care. That is an absolute must. Using this national lockdown, which came just before the academic session ended for our students, the future of India, now they are trying to impose digital divide, examinations through digital technologies, admissions and the entrance tests through digital technologies. Now the access to these digital technologies is not universal in India. A large section of our people, particularly the poorer, marginalized and from the rural areas, who are outside of these technologies, will be deprived of education, and that is going to be disastrous for our country's future. Yes, in areas where there is universal access, in order to protect the loss of this academic year, that can be utilized, but it has to be with universal access and that everybody should be able to access it. But otherwise, the government must reschedule the academic year so that the students do not lose a year and they can continue with their education, which is the foundation of any modern India that we all want to create. Now, these are some of the issues that are very important that need to be tackled. But unfortunately, the Modi government and the Prime Minister himself are busy with their own agenda, which has got nothing to do with people's concerns or the combating this pandemic, and which in fact undermines the very character of our constitutional republic. Now, this being the situation, we have taken, the CPIM Politburo has said that we shall, in protest against these conditions, organize a All India protest. An All India protest where we will scrupulously adhere to all the restrictions and conditions that are imposed in various areas depending on the spread of the pandemic, like physical distancing, like wearing of the masks. All this will be scrupulously observed, but an All India action call will be given, has been given by the Politburo for the 16th of June. All our units, all our members on that day will protest, maintaining all the restrictions and the precautions, and this will be essentially on 4 basic demands. 1, immediately transfer rupees 7,500 per month for the next 6 months to all families who do not pay income tax or are outside the tax bracket. Immediately, millions of tons of food grains are rotting in our central godowns. Immediately release them to be given free 10 kilograms per individual for all those who need it and who are hungry every month for the next 6 months. Third, because of the large-scale movement of the migrant workers back to their areas, it is essential that the Manrega or the Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme should be enlarged to ensure a minimum of 200 working days of employment that must be provided to the people who are seeking it, and for that the necessary allocations will have to be made by the central government. And along with that, extend this employment guarantee to the urban poor, and in the meanwhile, all those who have lost their jobs, nearly 150 million people have lost their jobs during this period of the national lockdown. Those people who have lost their jobs, an unemployment allowance for them must be immediately announced and implemented. Fourthly, we are saying stop this loot of our national assets, stop this privatization, stop this scrapping of the labor laws. These are absolutely essential if the health of our people and the economy and therefore the country will have to be ensured. So on these 4 demands, we have said that there will be an All India protest maintaining scrupulously the conditions of combating the pandemic, and this will be held on the 16th of June. Yes, and after this I'll take some of your questions that are coming in already. लेकिन इससे पहले मैं संक्षिप्त में अब हिंदी में कहना चाहूँगा। सबसे पहली बात, ये निसर्ग का जो साइक्लोन ने जो अभी महाराष्ट्र पे रायगढ़ के अंदर जो गिरा, अगले 5 घंटे तक ये तबाही करने पर लगता है कि ये तुली हुई है, और इससे जो नुकसान होगा उससे निपटना ज़रूरी है। हमारी एकजुटता उन सभी लोगों के साथ, मार्क्सवादी कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी की, और हमारी अपेक्षा यही है कि केंद्र सरकार और राज्य सरकारें जो भी ज़रूरत है लोगों को राहत पहुंचाने के लिए, उसके लिए कोई कमी नहीं दिखाएंगे, और केंद्र सरकार उनको मदद करने के लिए अब फिनेंसेस के साथ मदद करने के लिए राज्य सरकार को उसको वो मदद जो है केंद्र सरकार दे। अब ये पैंडेमिक के बारे में, तो आज की परिस्थिति में जब ये लॉकडाउन घोषित किया गया था, तब हमारे प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी वो आकर ये लॉकडाउन की घोषणा की अकस्मात, किसी को समय नहीं दिया कि वो तैयार होने के लिए, ना राज्य सरकारों को ना लोगों को। लेकिन वो लॉकडाउन जो 24 मार्च को घोषणा की गई थी, उस समय हमारे देश के अंदर 564 लोग पॉजिटिव थे और 10 लोगों की मौत हुई ये महामारी के चलते। आज हालत क्या है? आज है 2,07,615 लोग पॉजिटिव थे आज, माने कल के आंकड़े हैं ये, और 5,815 लोगों की मौत हुई। इस लॉकडाउन में हासिल क्या किया? लॉकडाउन क्यों चाहिए था? चाहिए इसलिए था कि हम अपनी ताकत और शक्ति को बढ़ाएं ताकि इस महामारी से निपटे, यानी हमारे अस्पतालों में जगह बढ़ाए, हमारे स्वास्थ्यकर्मियों को उनकी संरक्षण के लिए उनको जो भी चाहिए वो व्यवस्था दें, और टेस्टिंग करिए। टेस्टिंग के आधार पर आपको पता चलेगा कौन से इलाके में ये फैल रहा है, और टेस्ट करके उनको आइसोलेट करके उनके आधार पर जो लोग उस एरिया के साथ संबंध में थे उनकी कॉन्टैक्ट ट्रेसिंग करते हुए आप क्वारंटाइन करके इसको रोक सकते थे। ये काम कुछ जिस ढंग से होना चाहिए था वो नहीं हुआ, और जिस ढंग से हमारे वैज्ञानिक लोग वो अपने प्रस्ताव दे रहे थे उसको भी नज़रअंदाज करके मोदी सरकार ने इसका कोई ख्याल नहीं किया। दूसरी ओर जिस तरीके से लॉकडाउन का घोषणा हुआ उसके चलते हुए करोड़ों लोगों की ज़िंदगियां बर्बाद हुई। अगर समय मिलता तो हमारे करोड़ों भाई जो काम करने निकले हैं दूसरे इलाकों में, वो अपने ही खर्चे पे वापस चले जाते अपने घर पे, लेकिन उनको समय नहीं दिया। और 2 महीने तक जो हम देख रहे करोड़ों की तादाद में अपने परिवार को लेकर साथ में, बच्चों को लेकर साथ में, जो तरसते हुए अपने घर पहुंचने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। कई मरे हैं भूख से, कई मरे हैं थकान से, कई मरे हैं एक्सीडेंटों से। इस तरीके की जो एक बेइंसानियत की जो शुरुआत हुआ है, इसके लिए ये सरकार जो है आज कोई जिम्मेदारी नहीं ले रही, ना राहत पहुंचाने के लिए जिम्मेदारी, ना राज्यों को मदद करने के लिए जो ये यहाँ पर इस महामारी के सामना कर रहे हैं, जो राहत दे सकते हैं लोगों को, उनको जो है जो अपने पास जो साधन है वो साधन उन तक पहुंचाने में भी ये काम भी नहीं कर। हज़ारों करोड़ों खरबों रुपए इकट्ठा कर चुके हैं प्रधानमंत्री मोदी एक प्राइवेट ट्रस्ट में जो उनके नाम पर है, लेकिन ये पैसा कहाँ जा रहा है, कितना है, इसका क्या है, इसके हिसाब किताब किसी को पता नहीं। अब ये बताइए कि आज के इस हालात में इतना बड़ा रकम वो क्यों नहीं इस्तेमाल हो रहा है जनता को राहत पहुंचाने के लिए और इस महामारी के सामना करने के लिए। अब ये सब सवालें हैं, इन सवालों का जवाब ना देते हुए आज सरकार अपने एजेंडे को लागू कर रही है, यानी ये सांप्रदायिक ध्रुवीकरण को और तेज किया जा रहा है। एक हमारे अल्पसंख्यक समुदाय के खिलाफ जो है ये प्रचार बड़े पैमाने पर किया जा रहा है, उनको जो है अलग थलग करने के लिए, हमारे मुसलमान भाई बहनों को। दूसरी ओर पर जो भी सरकार का विरोध करता है, उनकी जो आलोचना करता है, उनके ऊपर कड़े कानूनों का इस्तेमाल करते हुए, जैसे सेडिशन एक्ट है, UAPA है, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एक्ट है, NSA, इन सब के अंदर उनको जेलों में भर रहे हैं। आज का कोई समय है ये सब काम करने के लिए? देश के हित में, हमारे देश के लोगों के हित में? लेकिन वो अपनी राजनीतिक दृष्टिकोण से अपनी एजेंडा को लेकर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं और साथ ही साथ ये उदारवादी आर्थिक नीतियाँ ले आकर देश की संपत्ति को बेचना, विदेशी पूंजी को पूरा का पूरा मौका देना हमारे देश के अंदर आकर वो अपने मुनाफे बढ़ाएं, और साथ ही साथ देश की आत्मनिर्भरता नहीं, आत्मसमर्पण हो रहा है हमारे अर्थव्यवस्था का आज दुनिया के पूंजी के सामने। अब ऐसी परिस्थिति पर हमारे श्रमिकों के ऊपर जो कानून थे, लड़कर जिन्होंने जो हासिल की थी कई दशकों से, वो सब कानूनों को रद्द करने का मुहिम चल रहा है। अब इसको स्वीकार नहीं करेगी देश की जनता, और इसलिए आज जो भी अभी जो फिर से फिलहाल अनाउंस किया कि हमारे अन्नदाता किसानों के लिए वो न्यूनतम दाम जो है 50 गुना बढ़ा दी है। अबे इससे बड़ा असत्य कोई नहीं हो सकता। पिछले साल जो न्यूनतम दाम थे, उसके बाद अब जो बढ़ाया गया, उसकी अगर आप उसके बीच में फ़र्क देखें तो आपके इन ये जो रबी फसल में जो आया उसके लिए न्यूनतम दाम बढ़े हैं 2%, और ये कहते हैं 50%। और पैसे और धन और ऋण के लिए दे रहे हैं अपने छोटे छोटे कारोबार जो MSME कहते हैं सेक्टर। अरे पिछले बार जो ऋण दिया आपने, उसमें से कोई ऋण लिया नहीं था। कुछ महीने पहले 5.2 लाख करोड़ रुपए का ऋण का घोषणा हुआ, जो ये 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए में शामिल कर लिया था मोदी साहब ने। लेकिन उसमें से कोई पैसा कोई ने उधार नहीं लिया बैंकों से, क्योंकि उधार लेके करेंगे क्या? जो भी उत्पादन करेंगे उसको तो बिकना है ना, खरीदने वाला कौन है? हाथ में पैसा कितना है लोगों के हाथ में? ये है सबसे बड़ा अड़चन हमारे अर्थव्यवस्था के लिए। लोगों के हाथ में खरीदने की क्षमता नहीं है, शक्ति नहीं है। उसको बढ़ाने की जगह ऋण बढ़ाते जा रहे हो, सस्ते दाम पर आप जो है पूंजी दे रहे हो, लेकिन इससे हमारी अर्थव्यवस्था जो है सुधरेगी नहीं। तो इन हालातों में आज ये ज़रूरी है हम सबको मिलकर आज इस सरकार के ऊपर दबाव बढ़ाए ऐसे कि ये सरकार फ़ौरन हमारी देश की जनता के सामने जो ज़रूरतें हैं आज के दिन, जितने बड़े उनके ऊपर आर्थिक बोझ थोपे हैं ये सरकार ने, और ये पिछले 2 महीने और ज़्यादा थोपे जा रहे हैं, उनसे राहत दिलवाने के लिए आज ज़रूरी है कि हम लोग सब एकजुट होकर इस सरकार पे दबाव बनाएं। इसके लिए पॉलिट ब्यूरो की बैठक ने तय किया कि जून 16 तारीख को पूरे देश भर में हमारे सब इकाइयाँ, हमारे सब जो हमारे सदस्य हैं, वो सब एक विरोध प्रदर्शन में आएंगे। लेकिन वो विरोध होगा वहाँ के इलाकों के ऊपर निर्भर करेगा, जहाँ पर जितने भी कंडीशन हैं, आपके दूरी रखना एक दूसरे से, नकाब पहनना और इस तरीके की जितने भी ज़रूरतें प्रिकॉशंस है, वो सब को निभाते हुए हमारा विरोध प्रकट करेंगे। और ये विरोध का हमारी मुख्य मांगे होंगे 4। कई सारे मांगे हैं, लेकिन उनमें से अभी तुरंत फ़िलहाल हम कहते हैं कि ये 4 मांगों को मोदी सरकार को स्वीकार करना ज़रूरी है। पहला, 7,500 रुपये हर महीने अगले 6 महीने तक उन सब परिवारों को दिया जाए कैश ट्रांसफ़र में जो आपके इनकम टैक्स या टैक्स ब्रैकेट से बाहर है। जो इन सब परिवारों के लिए ये रकम जो है डायरेक्टली कैश ट्रांसफ़र करिए। आपके पास करोड़ों टन अनाज सड़ रहा है अपने गोदामों में, चूहे खा रहे हैं, लेकिन भूखा इंसान को आप वो अनाज नहीं देते हो। 10 किलो अनाज हर महीने हर व्यक्ति को अगले 6 महीने तक, वो जो आपके पास स्टॉक पड़ा हुआ है कई गुना ज़्यादा है इससे भी, लेकिन ये अनाज तो आप वहाँ तक पहुँचाइए लोगों के पास, ताकि वो भूख से ना मरे, भूखमरी ना हो अपने भारत के अंदर। ये दूसरी मांग है। तीसरी मांग हम कह रहे हैं कि जब हमारे भाई बहन वापस जा रहे हैं अपने अपने गाँवों में, अलग अलग शहरों को छोड़कर, वहाँ पर जो वो बेरोज़गार हैं, ये पिछले इस लॉकडाउन के अंदर ही तकरीबन आपके 15 करोड़ लोगों की नौकरियों की छुटनी हुई। 15 करोड़। और 15 करोड़ लोगों की नौकरियों की छटनी हुई, तो उनको ज़िंदा रहने के लिए कुछ ना कुछ व्यवस्था करनी होगी। तो रेगा जो हमारे जो मनरेगा, उस मनरेगा के चलते हुए कम से कम ग्रामीण इलाकों में 200 दिनों का काम का प्रबंध करवाइए, और साथ ही साथ यही योजना को आप लागू करवाइए अपने शहरों के अंदर गरीबों के लिए। और जब तक नौकरियां फिर वापस नहीं मिलेंगी इन लोगों को, जिन लोगों को अब जिनकी छटनी हो गई, अब उन सभी लोगों की बेरोज़गारी भत्ता दे। और चौथा, ये जो आर्थिक नीतियां लागू कर रहे हो, देश की संपत्ति को बेच रहे हो, देश की संपत्ति का लूट करने की इजाज़त दे रहे हो विदेशी पूंजी को, इन सब को बंद करो। और साथ साथ हमारे श्रमिकों के ऊपर जो हमारे श्रमिक कानून है, मज़दूरों के लिए कानून है, जो सदियों की लड़ाइयों के आधार पर हासिल किए गए हैं, उन सबको रद्द करने वाला काम जो कर रहे हो उसको बंद करो। इन चारों मांगों के ऊपर 16 जून को देशव्यापी एक विरोध होगा, और ये दबाव बनाएंगे हमारे मोदी सरकार के ऊपर कि इन मांगों को अब मांगे। अब कोई सवाल है आपके पास? कुछ सवाल आ रहे हैं तो पूछूं। एक सवाल आया हुआ है ये कहते हुए कि अभी जो फ़िलहाल चीन और भारत के बीच में जो हो रहा है, व्हाट इज़ हैपनिंग इन द स्टैंड ऑफ बिटवीन इंडिया एंड चाइना, what is the CPIM's opinion on that? The CPIM is very clear. I mean, this standoff, we express our concern at this standoff, and we think that the announcements made by the government that the established mechanisms at the defense and diplomatic levels, the talks are scheduled and they're being held. The dates have been announced, and we only hope that these talks and negotiations will help to resolve the issue and maintain normal relations between both the countries, which we think is essential, not only in this particular moment of fighting the pandemic, but even in the longer run. So we hope that the established mechanisms that our Indian government has announced that are moving forward, and they've announced the date of June 6th for the next level of talks. We hope these will resolve the issue. Then there's a question from Jomi Thomas, who sent me directly. He's saying, is this a Kerala model or is this a left model? You see, the left has been a principal force in Kerala since the state was formed in the 1950s. The first communist government ever to be elected through democratic elections was in the state of Kerala in the post-Second World War period. So since then, Kerala model is inseparable with the left and its contributions. But we call it, and that is why you notice in our communique, we hailed the people and the left-wing government in Kerala. It is the Kerala model. So it is the Kerala model, even not only in fighting the pandemics, but also in the economic development model, which is a international, I mean, it's gone into the international lexicon as a term now. We talk of the Kerala model of development, and there also it is inseparable from the left. So it's always the Kerala model. Then it's the next question Joby has is, what about your party congress? Have you started your preparations for the party congress? Well, we've started in the first meeting of the Politburo that we had yesterday in these different conditions. As I told you, we have decided to convene our Central Committee meeting in July using the same technologies that we have used for the Politburo meeting. And in the Central Committee meeting, remember the Central Committee is the highest decision-making authority in the CPI. So that will take a call on the question of party congress, how we have to prepare for it, etc. But the organizational work of the party has refashioned itself under these circumstances, and that is continuing. Now, there's one question that is said, what do you have to say about unlocking the lockdown that the government has taken upon? How feasible is it right now? Well, the lockdown itself was unscientific. That has now been proved. And the withdrawing of the lockdown is also equally unscientific. As I explained, I tried to explain, that it is during the lockdown what was essentially needed to be done was not done. Clearly, Modi government is now saying to the people that you fend for yourself. I am not going to do anything. You impose the lockdown, create all these problems. Now you wash your hands off and tell the people, you do the combating of the pandemic, you look after your lives, the government will do nothing. You created these conditions by the way you've done what you've done. Now you take the responsibility, no? That is why we are organizing this protest. We'll have to force the government to do it. On May 22nd, leaders of 22 opposition parties had met. You had presented a roadmap on the economy to them and to the government. Are you planning to join any joint agitation programs? There was also some talks of forming a group of leaders to chalk out the future programs. Any decision on this? This is Jigesh from the Hindu Business Line. Well, the group has been officially formed. What was agreed upon in the meeting was a smaller group of leaders will discuss how to carry forward this thing, and how, now that the restrictions are eased, and they are saying from the 8th of June they'll be further eased. So yes, we are for a joint activity. That is what we proposed when we gave our alternative economic roadmap, that we should, on issues on which we all agree, whoever agrees on these issues in the interest of our country, in the interest of our people, in the interest of combating this pandemic, yes, we should all jointly proceed forward, and I think we are in that direction. Something is being worked out. You'll hear about it soon. Delhi police has filed its charge sheet in the Delhi riots and has blamed suspended AAP councillor Tahir Hussain for the riots. How do you respond to that, Yeshwari sir? I am not responding to any individual case. The point is, the victims of these riots cannot be held as being responsible for the riots, while the culprits for the riots go scot-free. All of us have heard who made what sort of speeches, but there is no action on them. The perpetrators of such violence cannot go scot-free, while the victims of such violence are actually prosecuted. Now, this is something that we do not accept. So these are some of the questions that have come so far. Are there any more? Then we'll probably have, I believe there's some more coming on the line. I can see that happening. So, अभी तक इन सवालों का जवाब जो मैं दे रहा था, कुछ और सवाल आ रहे हैं, मतलब इस टेक्नोलॉजी में थोड़ा समय लगता पहुंचने में. आमने सामने होते तो आप जरा अपन बातचीत ही कर लेते हैं, लेकिन वो अब संभव नहीं है. यही था कि ये तनाव जो हो रहा है इंडिया चीन के बीच में, उसके बारे में क्या राय है सीपीएम का. ने कहा कि भारत की सरकार ने, हमारे रक्षा मंत्री ने कहा कूटनीति के आधार पर कुछ चर्चाएं हो रही है, और उससे उन्होंने ये विश्वास जताया कि समस्या का हल होगा. हम चाहेंगे कि ऑलरेडी जो एस्टैब्लिश्ड जो तरीके हैं हमारे मिलिट्री के और कूटनीति के, डिप्लोमेटिक, इन तरीक़ों के आधार पर, इन मैकेनिज़म्स के थ्रू भारत की सरकार कह रही है कि वो, उनके अंदर ये विश्वास है कि ये समस्या हल होगी. तो हम चाहेंगे कि वो हल हो. ये हमारे देश के भलाई के लिए है, दोनों देशों के लिए, और वो हल जो है उस आधार पर हो. एक सवाल, I mean, new question that has come is, what is your take on the new GDP numbers that have come? Well, the GDP numbers that have come, it is absolutely anticipated. In fact, even these numbers, I don't know how much is the actual reality of it, how much of these are still provisional. But the actual situation for the government, for the economy, is very, very, very dismal. And this you can see why I am saying this. The entire figures given in our last budget have been completely turned out to be completely unrealistic. What is required actually is a new white paper by the Modi government saying what are the current governmental revenues, what are the current governmental expenditures, then only we'll know the truth. Because if you noticed, from what was anticipated in the budget, there is a shortfall in the corporate tax revenue by over 1,06,000 crores. That is huge. There is a shortfall of more than 70,000 crores in the gross tax revenues, which is, these figures themselves tell you that the governmental revenues have fallen to an extent of something like 7.1% to 8.8%. If that is the case, what are the calculations that we are talking about? So the economy is, I think, a much worse situation than what the GDP figures show. Of saying that we are 4.2% is the GDP growth rate. In the last quarter, it came down to 3.1%. And this is all pre-lockdown. Remember, once the lockdown period is taken into account, the battering of the economy is much more severe. And that is why all international agencies have downgraded India today to virtually a junk status. That is the destruction of the economy under the Modi government. What are your suggestions for the revival of the economy? Is the package announced not enough? The package announced is absolutely insufficient. It's minuscule. 1% of your GDP is the extra expenditures. That is the actual stimulus that you are given is around 2 lakh crores of rupees. 2 lakh crores of rupees in a country of our size and with the sort of problems we have will hardly stimulate anything. So this financial stimulus package is absolutely inadequate. What the 10% that they have announced of the GDP as the 20 lakh financial package, if that 10% was actually in extra expenditures by the government, only then it could make a difference. Many Nobel laureates, many economists, and all who have learned some economics at one stage or the other will tell you that in a situation like this, where there is no supply constraint in the economy, and where there is complete demand collapse, in such a situation, even printing money and giving it into the hands of the people will not create any inflationary pressure on the economy because there are no supply constraints at all. But this government, under the dictates of the international finance, refuses to do what common sense tells all of us needs to be done. That is why what is required is big packages of public investment to build a much needed infrastructure that will generate crores and crores of new jobs. And once these new workers start spending their money, then the demand in the economy will start rising and our closed factories can once again start reopening. That is the path forward that the CPIM has suggested. And I think that is the only way in which we can meaningfully move towards an economic recovery. Manikandan from Mathrubhumi has asked, not only the BJP-led state governments, some of the opposition party governments also amend the labor laws. What do you say about it? Whoever amends it, we are going to oppose it, which is not in the interests of our people or the country. And that is why we'll have to see which are at least 10 states in the country have announced. Some of them outrightly said that these labor laws will not be valid. An embargo on the implementation of labor laws for 3 years, like the UP government has done. 1,000 days, an embargo that the Madhya Pradesh government has done, both BJP governments. So these sort of things, some states have done in that way, some states have done in different ways. Whoever has done it, that is something not acceptable, that will be opposed. Then there is how do you view the communalization of the noble professions such as medical profession, as it has a grave ramification on the healthcare system of the country? Well, I spoke about the sharpening of communal polarization, which is something our party completely opposes. But if it's manifesting itself in the medical profession, like we have had some reports of people being discriminated on the basis of their religion in the hospitals for admissions, like in the states of Gujarat, some reports had come. If these sort of things are happening, that is something completely unacceptable. and something that will be fought by all who value the plurality of India and who value the entire constitutional foundation of India. So that is something that is completely unacceptable as far as CPIM is concerned. I think that's it. So दोस्तों, तो ये जो भी सवाल आए उसका जवाब देने की प्रयास किया मैंने. So बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you all very much for coming and participating in this press conference. To see you again soon in better conditions, better times. Stay safe.